Hey, this is Travis. We're going to go over the top 13 Bittensor sites and resources in no particular order. We're going to go over trading sites, wallets, news, subnet research, and more. So if you're trying to figure out what's happening on Bittensor, by the end of this video, you'll have more than enough information to sift through. Let's get started. So the first one here is called Magellan. If there's one place to look at that has like all the information related to Bittensor and links to sites and everything, it's Magellan. All the other sites that I am going through are linked to by Magellan. We're just going to zoom out here to just show how massive this is. It's just massive. There's a whole bunch to read, a whole bunch to go through, a little bit of history at the top here. These are all subnet information. So if we look down here, maybe we want to find more information about subnet 25. We can click on this link to go to their GitHub or their dashboard, or maybe I want to follow their Twitter account. So scrolling down here, some subnets have links to websites or apps. So maybe I want to look at the fine-tuning website here. So maybe I want to find the Celium website here, so I could click on that link and it'll bring me to the website. Just a ton of information about subnets here. And then if we zoom out and look on the left side here, so I guess this is like a filtered view of the apps that are running on Bittensor. And then if you want to find other people to follow, there's some good Twitter accounts here. There's some great YouTube channels here. I would especially recommend following this one. I'll wait, go ahead. And then we have, of course, links to the main website. And then we've got some Discord information here, link to the documentary, highly recommend. And then if you want to buy Tao through a centralized exchange, here's a list of all of them. And then here's a bunch of good websites for research and whatnot. We're going to actually go through a couple of these. You could spend like days going through this and not get through 10% of it. So Tao Stats, of course, is the main chain explorer for Bittensor. You can get a lot of information by looking through these tabs. I'm just going to click on the subnets here. We're up to 105 subnets right now. Let's just take a look at a random one. So of course you can see the price here on the left-hand side of the screen. You got the graph here, and then you can buy and sell alpha here as well. And scroll down and see some transactions and some more information here. In particular, I use the metagraph a lot as a miner. The metagraph is basically a list of all the miners and validators that are working on the subnet. So if you're a miner or validator on the subnet, you're going to look at this metagraph quite often to see how well you're doing against your competitors. And before I move on, let's take a look at the balance of a particular wallet. So if you just click on a cold key on any of these wallets in the metagraph, or if you look on the recent transactions here, you can click on these cold keys as well of like people who are trading. You can see his wallet balance here. And if you want to take a look at your wallet, you can just copy and paste your address to the URL here. And then there's Tao.app. If you click on the metrics here, the first thing that they really did was add a lot of information about how the market, how the economy is doing in Bittensor, and put it into these graphs. So many traders daily will be taking a look at these graphs. And then I also use Tao.app for trading. If you look at the subnets here, let's just find a random one. So you can see it's a very similar layout to Tao Stats. You got the chart on the left here. On the right, you can see the price and the price information. And then if you click on the swap tab here, you can trade your Tao for alpha and vice versa. One thing that I like about Tao app is that I can see a lot of fee information. So if I put in, say, 10 Tao here, I can see the price impact or the slippage that I'm going to pay. I have a separate video on how to stake safely. Let's move on. And then there's backprop.finance. Again, similar to Tao.app and Tao Stats, you can take a look at subnets and trade alpha tokens. You can see the price here on the left-hand side. Now, the interesting thing about Backprop is this leaderboard. So if you're a miner or a trader, you can look at this leaderboard and see how well you're doing compared to other people. So let's take a look at one of these top ranked traders. So it just gives you some information about the wallet here. Similar to the other two, if you want to look at your address through Backprop, you can just replace your address in the URL here. There's also TaoMarketCap.com where you can do some trading. It's got some blockchain exploration as well. Tao.xyz also has a similar trading view. So I'd recommend taking a look at these 5 sites and just seeing which one you like the best. Moving on to some education here. Learnbittensor.org is a fantastic place to start. If you've looked at my videos and it's not really your thing, you'd prefer to be reading some in-depth articles that are written in such a way as to not be like super lengthy or difficult to understand. Learnbittensor is the place to go for that. You can hit explore and search. So maybe I want to know about recycling. I can click on the recycling link and there's just a whole bunch of information here and some guides here. These are great guides for setting up wallets. And then how to do each of the wallet creations. I'm probably going to do a video on this at some point soon, But if you don't want to wait for the video, you can just go and take a look at Learnbittensor. It's got all the information you need. And then the Bittensor Guru podcast. This is how I first learned some depth about Bittensor. Keith is fantastic and entertaining and provides a lot of context and just how to think about Bittensor. I've listened to all the episodes. And then there's Subnet Alpha here. So this is a massive directory of all the subnets and some information about them. So let's just take a look at one of them in particular. So 87 checker chain. I haven't even heard of this until now. And it just gives us a quick overview of what exactly the subnet is about. So it's good for kind of high level research. And then sometimes they even have like videos and interviews in here as well. By now, you're probably starting to feel a little bit overwhelmed. There's a lot to look at. Tao Times helps with that. They have a weekly newsletter that is very helpful. You just can click on it here and read through, or they'll send it to you in an email format. Very helpful because everything changes so fast on Bittensor. It is impossible to keep up with already. I can't imagine what it'll be like in 6 months. So Tao Times is like very, very needed and very valuable in my opinion. Then, of course, some YouTube channels. If you haven't subscribed to this guy already, I would very highly recommend it and appreciate it. And then I want to draw your attention to this Learnbittensor TAO playlist here. If you click on that, you can actually see the playlist. They're ordered in such a way that new people can learn. So I don't have like Yuma consensus near the top or anything really complicated. So yeah, I think this playlist is a very valuable playlist to share with people who don't know anything about Bittensor. And then I'll be adding more subnet videos soon. And then there's Ventura Labs. It's a great podcast where Grant interviews the biggest names in Bittensor. Also, we have Hash Rate with Mark Jeffrey. He has a wealth of knowledge in crypto, and he interviews many of the biggest names in Bittensor. Also, links to all these resources are in the description. And then there's Tao Talk from Blockmates. So these guys do like a podcast every week, similar to the Tao Times, but I guess in video format. And then there's the Talisman wallet here. This works with Tao.app, Tao Stats, etc. On many of my wallets, I use Talisman. Whereas the Bittensor extension here, you can actually stake without having to connect to any websites. So it feels a little bit safer from that perspective. But the UI could definitely use some work. In order to actually unstake, you have to click this Create New Stake button. I think they'll fix that eventually. The competition on Bittensor is so high that you've got much higher quality for trading through the websites that we went through earlier. And then if you really want to go even deeper, you can go and you can check out the Bittensor Discord. Just a quick overview, there is the general tab. You can ask general questions here. And then each subnet has their like own channel here. So there's just a whole bunch of channels here and you can get the latest in there. Let's just pick another random one. The way that this works once you've clicked on a channel is if you hit the pinned messages, the subnet owner is the only one that is able to post pinned messages. So oftentimes you'll get like the link to their GitHub here. And this is currently the way that subnet owners share their GitHubs is through these pinned messages. And then there's also kind of one main rule in the Bittensor Discord, which is there is no price talk. So if you want to talk about staking and stuff, there's a separate Discord for that. This Tao community one. You can talk about staking and yield and buying and selling within here if you like. So the way I see it is we've got one here for kind of stakers and then the other one here for miners, validators, and subnet owners to talk about the actual work that is being produced. And then the last thing I'll mention here is on Twitter or X, there's a lot of chatter about Bittensor. You can often follow subnet owners and big names in the space here. Barry has a pretty good post here where he goes over kind of the top names in Bittensor here. And if you scroll down, there's a bunch more names that are mentioned here in the comments. And would you look at this in the comments here, we've got the link to Magellan, where again, of course, you can look at a whole bunch of information. But of course, the most important information is this one right here. You definitely want to subscribe to this guy.